And a lot of times that's how I like to make my beats, just nice and simple. I want to welcome you back to another tutorial. If it's your first time here, consider subscribing as I make machine tutorials like the one you're about to see today. Today, what I want to get into is how to make a solid sounding drum loop using the Maschine Plus. So if you haven't already, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on the bell notifications. So whenever I drop a new video, you will be the first person to be notified. Let's go ahead and get right into it. So what I want to share with you today is that dynamics is important. And let me show you what I'm talking about. So on scene number 1 here, pattern number 2, as you listen to it, you're going to hear how my velocity, and you're going to also see how the velocity is right here. It's all the way up. So let's take a listen to see what that's sounding like. Now, that sounds pretty good. It's pretty solid. It might work for depending on what genre that you're doing. But for me, I want it to be more dynamic, because when I think about a real person hitting that kick drum or kicking the kick drum, whatever the case may be, I think about how that person's not going to be hitting that 127 velocity every time. It's going to be kind of, 127 here, maybe 100 here, and just different velocities. So I wanted to emulate that same type of feel, and you're going to listen to that in pattern 1 here. So let's go ahead and enter pattern 1 and listen to what it's doing now that I have the velocities switched over. So you can kind of hear how it's really giving that bounce. So let's listen to number 1 again, which is pattern number 2. And then let's listen to pattern number 1 and just listen to how it gives it more of that bounce. Now let's do that with the snare added in. So we're going to unmute the snare. And this is the pattern 2 again with no dynamics. Now that sounds more of like a trap pattern. It sounds pretty good, but let's go ahead and add that dynamics back in there. So just a simple loop. Let's add in the hi-hat here. And a lot of times that's how I like to make my beats, just nice and simple. Let's go ahead and add in this hi-hat number 2 here. Again, that's very dynamic. If I was to play this without the dynamics, let's take a listen to what it would sound like. Now, it still sounds pretty good, but it's just missing that bounce. So let's add in that last hi-hat here and see what it sounds like all together. So you can definitely hear that bounce. Now, if I was to take away all the dynamics and play the loop, let's listen to what it sounds like now. It just loses that bounce. So again, all the dynamics in there. As you guys can hear, it's very important to really come in here and change all of the dynamics. Let's take a listen to hi-hat number 2 again. Now that sounds a lot better than something like this here. So it really just gives it that bounce. I hope you learned a thing or two. It's your boy Young Fizz, Mr. Dope Status, and we will see you on the next video. We out.